So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Yuki back here, BSN Network. This is BSN Network podcast here today. It is Tuesday, July 27th. Hopefully everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Tuesday, July 27th, here today, coming off of another baseball night, another night full of baseball last night. The Mets were on. They lost the first game. They were able to win the second game. Low-scoring affairs yesterday, 2-0 and then 1-0. So, low-scoring games yesterday, not much scoring, but they were able to get the job done. I was watching the Blue Jays, Red Sox as well, flipping between some of the games. I watched the entire first game of the Mets. I watched, pretty much the entire of the Boston Red Sox, Blue Jays game. I turned on the Mets game for like a second just to see their second game, just to see what the score was. And I saw at the time it was 0-0. Mets ended up getting a run, I believe, in the fifth. And Jeff McNeil with an RBI got the run in. And that was all the scoring for the Mets last night. And the New York Yankees today will start up their big series against the Tampa Bay Rays. Start up of a 3-game set that leads up until the All-Star break, trade deadline rather. We just got done with the All-Star break, leads up into the trade deadline. Obviously, a 3-game set in Tampa, and then they head on over to Miami to play the Marlins, and then they head back home for a big 7-game homestand. I forget who exactly. I think it's like 3 against Baltimore or something. I'm not sure exactly. I think 3 against Baltimore, 4 against Seattle, something like that. So then they'll head back home for a 7-game homestand, which is nice. You know, we've been on the road here a little bit. Obviously in Boston, now in Tampa, then to Miami. So we've been on the road here, still on the road. Would be nice to head back home and hopefully we're heading back home we very well could be heading home with a completely different roster, depending on what Brian Cashman decides to do at the trade deadline, what the Yankees decide to do, buy, sell, stay put. What do they do? We'll see. Today's also the first day of training camp for the NFL. For most of the teams, some teams have already started based on their schedules and stuff like that. Some teams have already started. So today, the rest of the 29 NFL teams have officially showed up at training camp. So the Jets and Giants are showing up today, or reporting to training camp today. Today, they won't do any real practices. Tomorrow, they'll actually start practicing and obviously getting ready for the season. They're going to ease their way into it. Tomorrow, they're not going to go full-fledged, 11-on-11, full-fledged pad drilled, but they're going to ease themselves into it. They're going to do drills and all that stuff and get fully ready for after training camp. It's practice week, so that's really it. That's exciting, so I'll get to that. Super excited today. As you can see, I got my Jets shirt on. Really, 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 really excited for the NFL season. Really excited for training camp, and it should be good. So Jets training camp today, Giants training camp today. Yankees play today, obviously against Tampa, first game of a 3-game set. Mets will also play today against Atlanta. Third game today, kind of, because they played 2 yesterday. I believe Atlanta's in town for like 3 or 4 days. I don't know exactly, but they play a lot of games. So today's another game. Not a doubleheader, though. A regular game today. Yankees, Rays, Mets, Braves tonight. Alrighty, so let's get to the topics for today's podcast and tell you what's on store today. By the way, the Olympics are still going on. I believe the men's basketball will be back on tomorrow. Swimming has been going on a little bit here. A lot of Olympics. There's so many different sports. Now, I don't watch all of them, but I'll watch some of them. I don't watch every single Olympic sport. Like, I don't watch, not trying to be mean, but I don't watch, like, archery or anything like that. Like, that stuff, I don't even know if it's on TV. I can't really find that stuff, but the Olympics have been good. They've been fun. They've been exciting. They've been, Olympics is always fun, especially because it only comes on every 4 years. And whenever you get it, it's always exciting because it's not something you get to see every year. Like regular sports, you obviously have your off seasons, but then you have your regular season, all that, but that happens yearly. The Olympics, it's once every 4 years. So whenever it's on, it's like, A, you feel like you have to watch it because it's only on once every 4 years, and 2, you feel like you really want to watch it because it hasn't been on in a while, especially this year because it actually got delayed a year due to last year with the virus. So it's actually this year, it's been the first time in this actually would be the 5th year without it. So it's good to see the Olympics and all that stuff. So let's get to the topics of today's podcast. Obviously, as I mentioned, Jets and Giants training camp starts up today. Obviously it's training camp, so I'm not going to get too much into all the things and, really get into the season stuff. I'm going to really get into training camp. I am going to take a little bit of a dive into the regular season and a little bit of a dive into what's to come and kind of what to expect. But I wanted to get into Jets and Giants, give you some keys, what to watch for NFL training camp, what to watch for the Jets, what to watch for the Giants, both offensively, defensively, special teams, I guess you could kind of say so. I mean, the Jets do have a question, who's going to be the Jets kicker week 1? That's actually a genuine question. We'll find that out after training camp. You're going to find a lot of things out after training camp. Jets running back, the Jets secondary, it's going to be, the Jets offense line. What are the combos? Greg Van Roten, is he going to be starting? What's George Font's role going to be? So there's going to be a lot of different questions to be answered for both teams. We have those questions now. They should be answered by the end of training camp. So I'll get into those, get into kind of the keys, what to watch for, some possession battles, and get into all that stuff. Then we'll get into Aaron Rodgers is actually going to play. Yesterday, a report came out that Aaron Rodgers plans to play with the Green Bay Packers this season. And this is wild. This is a crazy turn of events that Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing for the Green Bay Packers. It looks like they're going to give him some sort of contract that will give him, some money this season, restructure his contract this year, and then next season, and then 2022, 2023, that will be in his own control. And obviously, a lot of people are calling this The Last Dance. We all know the Michael Jordan and the Bulls documentary, The Last Dance, going through their 90s run and obviously their final championship that they were able to win. They're kind of considering it's the last dance for the Packers. They believe that Aaron Rodgers, this is going to be his final year in Green Bay. Who knows if it's going to be his final year in the NFL? And they believe that Devontae Adams, too, they're arguably the best receiver, probably the best receiver in the NFL. Arguably the best last season, and one of their best players and their best receiver could also be gone after this season. They've been together for a long time. This could be the last dance. I'll get into it. I'm also going to tell you that I was wrong. I was not expecting Rodgers to play, but it looks like he is going to play. Then we'll get into the New York Sports Update. We'll finish it off with the New York Sports Update as always. Yankees, Mets play today, and other than that, that's really it. Jets, Giants training camp starts up as well. First time in a long time we've been talking about Jets and Giants football. To be honest, we talked about it periodically throughout the offseason, but I don't think we've talked about Jets and Giants football since the season together in a video. Maybe the draft actually, now that I'm just thinking. But there's been a lot of baseball to talk to, and I'm going to get to more baseball tomorrow. I want to get to more baseball tomorrow. Trevor Story, Yankees actually offered him a deal, so I want to get to that. Max Kepler, there's been some other stuff with the Yankees. Depending on how the Yankees do today, I'll get to them tomorrow. And then also, stuff like that. And there's been a lot of baseball. There's been a lot of great baseball to talk about. I also want to touch upon the Mets because the Mets could be intriguing at the trade deadline as well. And the Cubs, a lot of different storylines at the NFL trades. So, MLB trade deadline, rather. So, with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. So you heard that right. The New York Jets and New York Giants have officially arrived at training camp today. I believe the players are filing in now, kind of getting into the building, doing all their stuff. Today's media day, so it's not like the official start to practice. Tomorrow, they'll actually start to get to the practice field. Today, they'll head to the facility. Media day, I'm sure they'll get. It's called Media Day, so I'm sure they might get, fitted or whatever for all sorts of equipment. They might do all sorts of stuff. It might maybe some team meetings, kind of stuff like that. All sorts of stuff. Nothing really major. And then tomorrow, officially, they head between the lines, and they will get started on practice for the 2021 season. They will get started on training camp. This will go all throughout August up until really practice week, and then you got yourself week 1 and then beyond, and obviously you have yourself the NFL season. So it's always an exciting time of year for training camp. It's always an exciting time of year for, especially, with the Jets and the Giants. It's always an exciting time of year for New York sports, obviously having two big-name football teams for the New York sports, obviously. It's always a fun time of year. Now, this year, it's even bigger because both teams have a lot on the line this year, right? Not saying that both teams are contending for a Super Bowl. That's not what I'm saying. But both teams this season have a lot of things that have to be answered and a lot of questions, and we will find those answers. Whether that's if we don't find them in training camp, we'll find them throughout the regular season. And obviously, the Jets, it's a big year for them, given that they got a new head coach, a new coaching staff. They really changed the layout of the franchise, in terms of who's making the moves, who's making the draft decisions, who's signing the guys, the contracts, all that stuff. They really changed the layout of the franchise, going out and getting their new franchise quarterback in Zach Wilson, who I believe won't be there today at training camp. They're still working out his contract stuff. It should get done soon, though. They're still working out on that. So until then, I don't know if he'll be at training camp yet, but he'll get there very soon. Obviously, you have your new quarterback in Zach Wilson. And you go to the Giants side, it's a big year for them because, number one, you're in Joe Judge's second year. Last year, they finished 6-10, but they were competitive. They were in games. They weren't getting blown out. They were competitive, but they finished 6-10. Wasn't a great year. It was a weird year, though, due to COVID and all that stuff. And then this year, it's a big year because it's Daniel Jones' third year. And if you're a New York Giants fan today, you got to feel pretty like this is it. Like, this is Daniel Jones. Like, if he doesn't have a good year this year, you can't sit here and tell me he's going to be your quarterback for next season. This is his year. You cannot, no Giants fans can make that excuse now that, he doesn't have a true receiver. Giants went out and got a true number one receiver in Kenny Golladay. They went out and got a guy that could be a really big asset, a deep ball threat, a guy that really could work well in that Giants offense. They went out and got that guy. So you can't sit here and tell me that Daniel Jones has no weapons when they went out and got a true number one receiver. And by the way, they got Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard and guys like that to complement the number one receiver with Kenny Golladay. So Giants now, and they also get their running back in Saquon Barkley. We don't know when, but they'll get him back as well. So there's a lot to look for both the Jets and the Giants. Also for the Giants this season, not that playoffs is a mandate, but you have a roster that has talent to get there. I think it really depends on what they do in their division. I think it really depends on what Daniel Jones does. If Daniel Jones has a good year, I think the Giants as a whole will have a good year. If Daniel Jones struggles, I think the Giants will struggle because it's your quarterback. He's supposed to be the guy, and he hasn't been the guy yet. He hasn't been anywhere close to the guy yet. We'll see now. Now he is a true number one receiver. Now he officially has, weapons around him, and now we'll see what he can do. This is his third year. This is his big year. Same thing with Sam Darnold going into last year for the New York Jets. It was his third year. Now, the Jets didn't really surround him with much talent last season, nor any of the first 2 years. But still, last year was a big year. He didn't perform. Guess what? The Jets traded him. That's probably the same path the Giants are going on. He doesn't perform this year. Well, we're getting rid of him. And even if he has a big year and the Giants go, 5-12, then you still might get rid of him because he's not winning games then. So, it's a big year. This is it for Daniel Jones. He has a good year. He's staying. He has a bad year. You cannot sit here and tell me you can give him another year. Okay? You just can't. Now, let's say he plays 2 games, gets injured, done for the rest of the season. Well, then you got to reevaluate that in the offseason. I'm not trying to wish bad. I'm just saying this is a big year. So, big year for the Giants and a development year for the Jets, right? Because this year, the New York Jets, the expectation's not to win a Super Bowl, but the expectation's to be competitive, to be much better than last year, to see development from some of our young guys, Mekhi Becton, right? You want to see what he can do. Obviously, it's always great to see what, Quinnen Williams can do. And to his third year, he had a big year last year. Is he going to explode this year? It's going to be interesting to see what Zach Wilson does in this offensive system. So going into this year is a lot of stuff to look forward to, too, if you're a Jets fan. And just genuinely, you got a new coach. The Jets finally have a solid foundation that they're building. For years and years and years and years now, the Jets have tried to build this thing from the roof down, and everything's just fallen. Nothing has stayed there. They're finally building a solid foundation, and they're building up with it. That's finally what the Jets got now, and we're finally heading in the right direction. So let's get to some keys for training camp. So obviously, tomorrow's the official practice day for training camp, an official start, and then fans get to be allowed, and then so on and so forth, and fans, and then you get to some of the stadiums for like the green and white scrimmage and all that stuff. So that's all good and all that stuff. So let's get to some of the keys. So I'll start off with the Jets here and name some keys for offensively and defensively for training camp, what to look for. And I think right off the bat, I mean, you could honestly say as a Jet fan today, not that this is a bad thing, but you could say as a whole, the New York Jets offense is going to be under the radar at training camp. And I think we can all agree with this because there's a lot of new pieces to this New York Jets offense. It's also a new system under Mike LaFleur's new system. It's a brand new quarterback, right? He's a guy that came over from BYU. We drafted him number 2 overall, right? Zach Wilson. He's officially, our franchise guy. He is going to be the guy leading the show here. We want to see how he performs, right? There's a lot of other pieces in this offense that are new. You want to see what the receiving core does. Corey Davis is new. Keelan Cole's new. Elijah Moore we just drafted, right? Jamison Crowder, what is his role? We brought his contract a little down. He took a pay cut. What is his role in this offense? Is he going to be starting every day, or is he going to be starting a lot? Is he going to be coming off the bench? Is he going to be a guy that's going to be in third down situations, maybe only certain packages? What is his role? How does Zach Wilson do that? Does Zach Wilson have any say in his receiving core? Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, right? Keelan Cole. What are the guys that he likes throwing to? Who are the guys that he trusts most that he could throw to? We'll see. Also, how does Corey Davis take over that number 1 role, right? Because he's going to be the number 1 receiver. In Tennessee, he was really the number 2 behind A.J. Brown, who was the number 1. And they kind of trade places because now Julio Jones is the number 1 and A.J. Brown, I would say, is the number 2. And now Corey Davis is the number 1. So they've all traded places because obviously Julio Jones is now with the Tennessee Titans. That should be an exciting team to watch. Right, so how will Corey Davis kind of go under as a number 1 receiver? How do they use him in certain packages? Does he go deep a lot? He went deep a lot last season. Do the New York Jets use him a lot as a deep ball threat? Do they use him more as a 15, 20-yard guy? Do they use him more as a close pass guy and let him turn it upfield and try to get those yards himself? That's something that will have to be answered in training camp. Another thing is the offensive line. Now, we do know the New York Jets offensive line is set with Kai Becton, Elijah Vera-Tucker on that left side, and for the most part, Morgan Moses will be that right tackle position. Where will Greg Van Roten be? Connor McGovern, I would say, probably has his center position down pat, but there's still that slim chance of maybe, he loses that job. I would tend to say that he's going to be the center week 1. Him and Zach Wilson have already been working together. I don't see why they don't have him as the center week 1. He'll probably be the center. He didn't have a bad year last year. He didn't, I don't think he really lived up to expectations, but he wasn't awful. He was kind of meh. He did his job. He snapped the ball. He blocked. He wasn't great. Now, the Jets offense as a whole last season, there was a lot of bad parts of it, so there was really not much, the offense as a whole was an eyesore last year for the New York Jets. There wasn't many strengths, so to try to point out here and there, this guy was good, this guy was decent, well, no, you just got to forget about last season's offense. So I think the receiving core, Zach Wilson, definitely 2 big things to keep an eye on. How do they use Elijah Moore and all that stuff? The offensive line, too, because it's going to be a training camp battle. Does Greg Van Roten get a starting job? This is a guy last season that showed flashes. He played every snap, then he got injured. Then he would play again. This is a guy last season that showed flashes of being really good, and he showed some flashes of being a liability, not able to stay healthy, not able to go out there and get the job done. Right, not able to be as great as a run blocker and pass blocker as they expected, not picking up on double teams, right? Things like that. So, those are kind of the issues last season with Greg Van Roten. He showed flashes, but he didn't completely show enough, I don't think, to completely, show the New York Jets that, hey, I'm the guy that should be starting here. But that's something that's going to be decided at training camp. And I think out of the biggest thing on the Jets offense, you could say arguably the biggest thing is Zach Wilson's development. How does he fare in training camp? Finally gets to see live action preseason. The Jets' first preseason game, by the way, is April 14th, which is 2 weeks from Saturday, 2 weeks from Saturday. So how does he fare? That's against the Giants. Now, he's not going to play every snap, but he will probably get a drive or two, probably about a drive, because that's how it is in the preseason. Usually the starters get about a drive or two, and then the backups coming in. And by the fourth quarter, you got guys that are just playing for jobs at that point. So how does Zach Wilson do? That's obviously the big thing. Whenever you bring in a rookie quarterback, how does he fare? But another big thing this season to look for the Jets is who's going to be the running back week 1? Who's going to be lining up behind Zach Wilson to take the first snap of the 2021 season? We have no clue. Now, right now, I think if you had to predict just off of experience and just off of being in Mike LaFleur's offense before, I think you would have to say that Tevin Coleman would probably already be in the front runner to get the starting job. Now, you do have Michael Carter, the running back. We also have a cornerback, Michael Carter. I'll actually get to him in a second. I want to get to the secondary. Right, you do have Michael Carter, a rookie. We drafted him this season. A guy who Zach Wilson has thrown to a lot so far, has seemed to talk very highly of. A guy who Zach Wilson has seemed to use a lot, in minicamp and rookie OTAs. He seems to have thrown to him a lot. And also, what about LaMichael Pirine? This is a guy we drafted last year. Didn't really get the full opportunity last season, although Le'Veon Bell was there. Last season, running back was weird last year. Didn't get the full opportunity, then got injured. This is a big year for LaMichael Pirine. I feel like if LaMichael Pirine's not on the roster, it doesn't make a difference. This is going to be a guy that, A, could very well request a trade because he might want to take his talents elsewhere, or B, very well could just get released, his salary dump off, get rid of him. This is a big training camp for him. And only his second year, this is a big deal for him because the Jets also went out and drafted a running back, which not saying that they don't have trust in LaMichael Pirine, but it could also show you that LaMichael Pirine, hey, yeah, we drafted you. Yeah, it seems like you're, hopefully you could be good, but it's not a guarantee that you're going to be playing a lot. And that could be, that can only add fuel to his fire. There's 3 running backs that are really completing for this. You could say Ty Johnson and Josh Adams. No. They're on the outside looking in. But the 3 running backs are Tevin Coleman, Michael Carter, and LaMichael Pirine. And very well, the New York Jets could split time. And maybe throughout the season, they start to see one guy's clicking better with Wilson in the offense than another, and they give that guy more playing time. But there's a very good chance that week 1, they line up with 3 running backs rotating in and out. This could be something that maybe isn't solved by training camp. This could be something that could leak into the season, which very well happens. We've seen teams a lot of times, the Cleveland Browns do it. They rotate between Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Obviously, Chubb gets most of the carries, but Kareem Hunt rotates in there a lot. They rotate in and out. That's what the Jets could possibly do. Certain packages, certain downs, passing downs, things like that, they could rotate in and out. That could be an option. There's a chance that the Jets don't just go out and just get a guy, just plan on, this is our number 1 running back. They could have all 3, and hey, by week 7, if they're finding one doing better than the other, then finding one's doing better than the other, then he's the starter, right? That's kind of it. So that's kind of the keys for the Jets on offense. Now let's get to the Giants on offense here, and then we'll get to obviously the defense for both sides. The Giants defense I have less to talk about. And I mean that in a positive way because the Giants' defense is very good. There's not many things that have to be strained out there. Jets' defense do have some question marks, especially in the secondary. I want to get to them. But let's get to the Giants' offense first. Some things to look out for in training camp. So, I think the Giants' offense this season, I think number 1 you have to look out for is Saquon Barkley's health. I mean, this is something that you're going to have to look out for. You're going to have to watch. You're going to have to see, what he's like now. The New York Giants and Joe Judge said that not that they're trying to by any means purposely not try and play him, but the Giants did say that they're playing the long game with Saquon Barkley. And this means that they're playing the long game with him. They're not going to rush him back for week 1. They're not going to go out and, rush him back and, hopefully that he's healthy enough to play week 1. They're playing the long game with Saquon Barkley. This is a guy who's already had 2 major injuries in his career. He had a big ankle injury in his career with the Giants, and then obviously most recently last year he had the torn ACL that sidelined him for the entirety of the season outside of the first week and a half, because I think week 2 he got it injured in Chicago, I believe. Either way, he missed the majority of the season. He played about a game. So I think you got to play the long game with him. You got to play the long game with him and play. He's got to stay healthy, especially if this is a team that's going to try to make a playoff push. You're going to need your run game. You're going to need your star running back in the backfield late in the season, right? If this is a team that's making a playoff push, week 1, week 2, week 3, those weeks not going to matter. It's going to be late. It's going to be the week 13, week 14, week 15 games, those division games, those games that are going to mean a lot, those games that you're going to be battling up against, maybe against a wild card opponent, those games that you're battling. If you're going to try to compete for a playoff, you're going to need Saquon Barkley. So I think the health of him first. How do they utilize him? What drills does he do? How does he look number 1 in training camp? Because I think you want to see if his speed's still there, if his agility's still there, if his movement's still there, if awareness is still there, right? How does he really, perform, right? How does he really do that? And I also want to say this, too, because last season he only played, 1.5 games? So I feel like in a way you could even say, how does he perform under Jason Garrett's offense? Because, and I understand, last season he was under his offense. But did he really play that much? No, he played about a game. He played a game in like a half or a quarter, because then he got injured. So you can't sit here and say that, Jason Garrett, let's see, we already know that he's, let's see maybe what he does maybe in Jason Garrett's offense too. Because this is the guy that he played 1 game. He's not a mastermind when it comes to, he played 1 game. I believe so. I believe because it was the Steelers game, and I believe the next week was against the Bears. I'm looking it up right now. Saquon Barkley last season, he played 2 games. Yeah, because he played in Chicago. So 2 games, technically, they registered it. He carried the ball last season 19 times. By the way, year before that, 217. Year before that, rookie year, 261. So he carried it a whole lot less than the year after that. So in terms of, so that's what I mean. Not that he's got to learn Jason Garrett's offense, but let's see maybe what role they put it in, and let's see how he reacts to that, because he played 2 games, okay? He missed 14 games last season. He played 2. Now, sure, he was in the sideline and training camp and all that last stuff. So Saquon Barkley's health, I think, is big, and also how do they incorporate the other running backs? Because if, in fact, he's not playing week 1, it's probably going to be, Devontae Booker or whatever Devontae Booker, I think they got him from the Raiders. He'll probably be in there week 1. So, him. Now, I think arguably one of the bigger storylines in all the NFL is how does Daniel Jones, maybe I pushed it a little bit, actually. Not the biggest storyline in the NFL. I think some other bigger storylines in the NFL is how does Dak Prescott do from injury? What does Aaron Rodgers look like? I mean, it's a guy who has not been with the Packers since the NFC Championship loss last season. How does he look? Does he come in ready to play? I think some of the other big storylines are, how does Josh Allen look? Is this a guy that's going to have another big year? Tom Brady, that Bucs team, do they look ready? I think there's some of the other bigger storylines. But there is a big storyline, Daniel Jones. How does he connect with Kenny Golladay? And we're going to find that out. Training camp is a very big time for quarterbacks to connect with their new receivers. Zach Wilson's going to do it with Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Keelan Cole, Jameson Crowder too, but Jameson Crowder I think is going to have a little bit of a reduced role. Guys like that, Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, those are going to be the main threats for the New York Jets. Those are going to be guys that he's going to have to connect with. Same thing with the tight end position. That's another question for the New York Jets, actually, is their tight end position. Ryan Griffin, Chris Herndon, who's in there? How does Chris Herndon do? He had a very bad year last season. The Giants here, how does Daniel Jones connect with Kenny Golladay? He's been working with him in the offseason. He's been throwing to him a lot. He's been doing all that stuff. All that stuff is great. Good to see that. But it's completely different when you go out there and it's completely different when you go out there and get into the game scenarios and you get into scenarios where you start to ramp up time, start to do no-huddle offense. How do they connect? Daniel Jones and Kenny Galladay's chemistry building is going to be pivotal to what the New York Giants do this season. And I mean that. Like, if Kenny Golladay and Daniel Jones aren't really fully 100% on the same page for week 1 of the NFL season, their whole season could be derailed. And I mean that in any way. I do. Because the Giants' defense is not the concern. As a matter of fact, that's the strength. That's the last thing the Giants need to be worried about. What the Giants should be worried about is A, their offense, B, Daniel Jones, and C, Daniel Jones connecting with Kenny Golladay. That's their major, not concern, but that's their major thing that they're worried about. How does Daniel Jones connect with Kenny Golladay? How does he build chemistry with Kenny Golladay? That's something that we're going to have to see in training camp. That's something that's going to have to be built in training camp. So Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones connecting with Kenny Golladay, right? Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton rather. All those guys are guys that Daniel Jones has already thrown to. So there's no issue with that. He's already thrown to the guy. He doesn't need to build chemistry with those guys. Now, Sterling Shepard has had a tough time staying on the field, so he hasn't thrown to him much, but he has. Another thing, too, with the New York Giants is tight end. Who's going to be the tight end week 1? That's a question. Is it going to be Kyle Rudolph or is it going to be Evan Ingram? I would probably go ahead and say it's going to be Evan Ingram, but there's a very good chance week 3, if Evan Ingram's not putting up numbers, Kyle Rudolph could be back out there. I also could see the New York Giants maybe, kind of doing a 50-50 in a way. Evan Ingram's in, Kyle Rudolph's in, certain packages, certain downs. Close down in distance, probably Kyle Rudolph. You need a quick 3-yard play, Kyle Rudolph, right? Something like that. Evan Ingram, I think it is a major concern that his catching ability was terrible last season. I think it's a very big concern. I think it's an issue that the New York Giants obviously know about, and I think they gotta figure out a way to get him fixed, and that's big. I think Evan Ingram too. This is a big training camp for him because I don't really think that Evan. If you had to ask me, now this is just me. I'm not the Giants head coach, but I do think that the Giants are going into this camp. Evan Ingram's spot's not secure. Now, you could arguably say everybody's spot on a team's not secure, but really, I'm not trying to compare Evan Ingram to Tom Brady, but Tom Brady, he's going to be the week 1 starter. He could stink at training camp. He's going to be the week 1 starter. But there's some guys out there that, surprisingly, spots might not be guaranteed. Evan Ingram. The guy, he's been the starting tight end there for a couple years now. His spot might not be guaranteed this year. I truly do think that the New York Giants brought in Kyle Rudolph not just to be a depth addition and a veteran, but to possibly be a guy that's going to get an increased role. And he's not going to be there for long because he's getting old. He's not the future. They're going to have... If this season, if tight end's a big struggle this season, the Giants are going to have to tackle it in the offseason. I think either way, the Giants are going to have to tackle the tight end position in the offseason. Even if Evan Ingram has a good year, he's not the future. He's not the future of that team. He's more of a receiver, not really a tight end. And that's the Giants need a blocking tight end too because their offensive line struggled. Tight end's big. Who's starting for the New York Giants? Evan Ingram, Kyle Rudolph, who is it? Because, especially with Daniel Jones, he's having a big year. The last thing you need is your tight ends to be dropping balls for him. I feel, and I truly believe this. Now, obviously the goal is to win. Team goals. Win games. Make playoffs. Win championship. That's the goal for every team. Those are the team goals. But Daniel Jones is also going into the season with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. I gotta perform. So does this team, but I also gotta perform. Right, if Daniel Jones goes out this season, this is realistic. I'm just going to throws 500 touchdowns and 1 interception. And the Giants win 1 game. That's not on Daniel Jones. That's on the Giants. But it's unrealistic numbers. 500 touchdowns in a single season is impossible. Okay, I'm just putting out unrealistic numbers out there. I'm just saying that Daniel Jones this season, this is big for him. And I think Daniel Jones will have a say in who's that tight end. Because Daniel Jones, in order for him to show that he can be the franchise guy, he needs the best guys around him. And is Evan Ingram the best guy around him? I don't really know. So Evan Ingram, I think that is a training camp battle. I don't think Evan Ingram's spot's guaranteed. If Evan Ingram doesn't have a great training camp, and Kyle Rudolph and Daniel Jones are really meshing well, you could see Kyle Rudolph. I'm not saying he's going to start every snap, but you could see them incorporate Kyle Rudolph a whole lot more than what maybe a lot of people expected. So watch out for that. Offensive line 2 for the New York Giants is a major issue. It's not a major issue, but it's a big question mark. Last season, it was bad. It struggled. Daniel Jones got sacked a ton. He missed a couple games because I believe he took a hard hit on a sack. Offensive line for the New York Giants is a big thing. Okay, to be honest, you could say I just kind of bounced around here with each position. But you could say with the Giants here, their offensive line's another big question mark because they're a big question mark. You got a guy, Andrew Thomas, coming in his second year. You didn't draft a single offensive lineman. You did bring Nate Solder back on a reduced cut. You made a pay cut. Now that's not going to make him play better. So many Giants fans out there are like, oh, we cut Nate Solder's contract. Great, good. Is that going to make Nate Solder an all-pro offensive lineman now? No. Like everyone's like, we cut Nate Solder's contract. If you you ask him, and I nothing against it. I mean, you should be happy. That was a terrible contract the New York Giants gave him. But you gave Nate Solder this giant contract, you cut it, and everyone's like, oh, what improvements did you make to your offensive line? Oh, we cut his contract. That's not an improvement. Just because you cut Nate Solder's contract doesn't mean he's going to be an all-pro. So the Giants' offensive line's a question mark. It is. Because it's actually a weakness of the team. And they did not do anything this offseason to improve it. They're just going off of hopefully that their rookies like Andrew Thomas can be better than they're just hoping that guys can just be better than they were last season. And that's a risky, but it could work out, but it's very risky. Big question mark for the New York Giants, their offensive line. And Daniel Jones in a big year, last thing you need is him getting tackled around, sacked, all that stuff, and his injury, his possibility of being injured rises all the way up. That's the last thing the Giants need is for him to get injured and make that decision way much more harder if he's the franchise quarterback. So offense line's a big question because, they went out and got a couple undrafted guys. They probably won't start, but probably won't be big contributors. But they're just hoping that guys could be better than they were last season. That's really it. They didn't do anything to improve it. They're just hoping that guys last season can develop and be better. That's all they're hoping for. That's hard. That's you're just going off of pure luck. You're just hoping that it works out. That's really what you're asking for. You're just hoping Andrew Thomas is 10 times better than he was last season because he was awful last year. He was. Now, he had a couple moments, but 80% was bad. He had a couple moments, he was able to contain Myles Garrett really well, I believe, against that Browns game, which was really good. But other than that was really it. All right, so let's get to the defense now for both teams. All right, so let's get to the Jets and Giants defense here. So, personally, I'm going to start off with actually the Giants here. I'm just going to tell you this. The Giants defense does not need much to talk about because there's not much that's a weakness on the Giants defense. Their secondary is good. They got Jabril Peppers and James Bradbury leading the way. I guess you can honestly say maybe Xavier McKinney. How does he do? This will be his first, full training camp with the team, his first full offseason with the team. Obviously, last season, after being hammered with injuries, was never really able to get the full opportunity. How does he fare? Do the New York Giants put him out there, what kind of role is he, out there? How does he fit into the defense? Because this is really his first year. Last season, he got hammered with injuries and never really got the full opportunity to play. I think he got in there in a couple games, but never got the major opportunities. How does he fare? That, I think, is one of the mainly only questions. Other than that, you're perfectly fine. I mean, your defensive line's set. You gave Leonard Williams, the big deal. Your defensive line's set. Your secondary with James Bradbury, who's one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL, is also set. So, cornerbacks, by the way. Did not say quarterbacks. So, cornerbacks in the NFL, obviously you're set. Defense for the New York Giants is not a question. I don't think it will become a question unless of injuries or they just start to struggle. So I'm not going to touch upon much for the Giants because really there's not much to touch upon in terms of their defense in training camp. Now the New York Jets, their defense is actually a strength, but they got one big question on defense. Now their defense line, how does the new guys, Sheldon Rankins, Vinny Curry, how do guys like that fare? I think that's going to all work itself out in Robert Saleh's defense. I think another question is Gerard Davis. We signed him in the offseason. A lot of people say that he's going to fit well in this defense. I want to see it before I believe it. So how does he fit? How does he, compete? What does he do? Is he going to be a starting job? Another thing I want to see is C.J. Mosley. Because this is a guy who in training camp, this is big for him. because more than likely he'll be starting and more than likely he'll be the main guy. But I don't even know, too, if his spot right now is secure either. Because I think there's a very possible chance that his playing time, which, like I said, might not be as much as many people would have expected it to be, just because of his age and he's missed a couple years now. But I would tend to say that he'll probably be all right, but he's definitely got to watch. And another thing, he's got to watch to see what does he look like. Is he up to speed? Is he still flying around the ball? How does he look? A guy who played 2 games with the New York Jets in his first year, missed all of last season due to the COVID, and then now he's back this season. Is he the same player? Is he still flying around the ball? Is he still the same leader? You'll figure a lot of that out in training camp. That's another question. Marcus May, safety, that's not really a question. Now, a big question for the New York Jets is secondary. And this is going to be a question this entire season because the New York Jets secondary is almost like the Giants offensive line in terms of last season was not good, and the New York Jets and the Giants are kind of relying on it to be, we just got to hope that this young talent develops and gets better. That's all they're hoping for. That's what the Giants are hoping for with their offensive line, and the Jets are kind of hoping the same thing with their secondary. They're kind of hoping you know what? We got to hope that these young guys develop and get better, and hopefully they're good. It's risky. It's an extremely risky approach. They did not go out and get a veteran to kind of mentor them. It's an extremely risky approach, but the Jets obviously see something in the secondary that they should believe that, hey, this is, they obviously believe that, hey, these guys can do something. They wouldn't go out and get all these guys and, keep these guys as is if they didn't believe in them. So they obviously have some sort of belief. They obviously believe that they could get the job done. It's just a matter of who. And that's the one question. It's going to be, I believe in training camp for the New York Jets, it's going to be a lot of mixing and mashing. I believe it's going to be a lot of this and that, this guy and that guy, and let's see what this guy can do with this guy. How does this guy work in the cornerback 2 role? How does this guy work in the slot? How does this guy work against our number 1? Michael Carter, the cornerback. Bless Austin. Bless Austin is going to be asked to take over that number 1 cornerback role more than likely. And that is a huge task for the New York Jets. This is a big year for Bless Austin. He showed a lot of potential in 2019. Last season, he had an injury-riddled season. Did not play as much. This year's a big year. It's his 3rd year. He's going to be asked to be in a big role. They believe he's made a lot of improvements. He said he made a lot of improvements. He said he's ready to be in a big role. The New York Jets are putting a lot on him. He's going to be going up against some of the better defenders out there. A big year for him. He's also young. He's a guy that's still developing. It's a risky approach, but the New York Jets at the end of the day kind of have to do that because we did not go out and get anyone else. The secondary is the only big concern, and it's secondary since Darrelle Revis has been gone has been an issue. The Jets have not had a true number 1 since Revis. It's been a big issue. We've had a couple guys come in here and out of here that have shown potential, but there has not been a consistent number 1 cornerback. There's not been a consistent cornerback core. So the New York Jets are relying on young, developing. It's a risky approach. It's a very high-risk, high-reward type approach because you're talking about possibly finding a diamond in the rough. Same thing with the Giants, right? Going out and getting some of those undrafted free agents. You're talking about your chances are not great, but there's a chance that you might find a diamond in the rough, and he could turn into this big star player. That's kind of what the Jets are doing. They're developing, and they're kind of seeing what guys work, what guys don't work. And that's why I feel like not just this season, but even next season, and even, by then, we'll see how the New York Jets actually are after next year. But this is something I think the Jets are going to mix and mash for not just training camp, but for the entire season. It's going to be what guys work with certain guys, certain situations, certain teams we're playing against, teams with stronger receiving cores. Do we put in a certain group? Bryce Hall, his 2nd year, he showed flashes last season. He injured as well. Can he stay healthy? Can he prove himself? What he did at Virginia before the injury was just simply amazing. After the injury, his draft stock fell a lot. What can he do? The New York Jets have a lot of questions at corner, and a lot of them will be answered. They're training camp battles. Michael Carter, Bless Austin, Eccles, Bryce Hall. all those guys. It's going to be mixing, mashing, hoping you find the right pair, and go into week 1 with that mindset. And we'll see. We'll see who the New York Jets roll out there week 1. Other than that, and that's another thing, too, the Jets believe in, is that their defense line, the way they run their defense, also how does Carl Lawson fit into his scheme and all that stuff. The way they run their defense is blitz heavy, a lot of pressure going at them. So it's a lot of times they believe that if they can get quickly to the quarterback, they won't have to worry about their secondary being a really liability. If they can get to the quarterback quickly, they won't have to worry about their secondary having to cover a lot more, right? We'll see. Alrighty, so that's what I got for the training camp for the Jets and the Giants. Obviously, Jets, Giants both start today. We'll see how it all plays out. I mean, it's gonna be exciting. I think it's gonna be really, really fun. There's definitely some questions surrounding both teams. There's always questions surrounding teams, but especially this season, given that it's a big year for Daniel Jones, given that it's a rookie year for Zach Wilson and a new coaching staff. There's always questions. We always get the we always get the answers during training camp. Who's going to be this starter? Who's going to be the starter for this guy and that guy and this player? And where is he going to play? How much playing time he's going to get? We'll figure that all out throughout training camp. And training camp's a big time because this is it before the season. This is a big time, especially for rookies and especially for young guys. So we'll see. Alrighty, so yeah, that's what I got for the New York Jets and the Giants training camp as they get underway today, as they all arrive at training camp today. Obviously, across the league now, everyone has arrived. It's going to be exciting. I'm ready for it. Hopefully, you are as well. A lot more coverage on the podcast about the training camp and all that stuff coming. Alrighty, so coming up next here, I want to get into Aaron Rodgers. Finally, Aaron Rodgers' saga seems to end as he plans to play for the Green Bay Packers this season. We'll get into that, get into more of the Packers coming up next. Alrighty. Alright, so there's actually a video of Aaron Rodgers, which I'll get to in a second, spotted at Green Bay camp. There he is. So he actually was walking in the Packers training camp. That is just so crazy because we're talking about a guy that a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, the off season, we were talking about who's going to be the Packers quarterback. And after all of the saga, after all of the nonsense, after all of the this and that and this and all that stuff, is he going to get traded? The Broncos, who's going to be this? What's this? And sure enough, he plans to play for the Green Bay Packers this season. And also, not just that, Aaron Rodgers rumors Packers quarterback close to agreement would set up final season in Green Bay, which would mean that Aaron Rodgers is going to play this season, play it out. They'll restructure his contract a little bit, make him be in control of his future for 2022 and 2023. And then, after that, he's free. And there's a chance that after this season, this is it. If this is it for them. This could be like the last dance for the Green Bay Packers. That's what they're calling it. I just find it hilarious that after all of this talking, chatter, all of this complete nonsense for this entire offseason, ends up that Aaron Rodgers will play. And oh, by the way, Deshaun Watson, he's going to play, or not, well, he's also arriving at training camp. He still does not want to play for the Texans, but he's going to arrive at training camp. So all those rumors of him holding out, he's going to arrive. He's not going to play. He still says that he's not going to play, but he'll arrive. He's going to be there. He's going to be practicing. He's going to be showing off. And Aaron Rodgers now too. So let's get into this. So Aaron Rodgers Rumors, Packers quarterback close to agreement would set up final season in Green Bay. And finally, this Aaron Rodgers saga ends, or I guess you could say this is just the continuing of it, because depending on how they do this season, I think would definitely depend on what he does next season. I think this year is going to be a big year for the Green Bay Packers in terms of this is it. Like, this is kind of their final year. How they do this season is going to depend on what Aaron Rodgers does, not only for next year and his future with the Green Bay Packers, but ultimately his future in the NFL. Because I think there's a good chance that if they go out and they win a championship this year, Aaron Rodgers might end on that high note. Now, there's two different players. There's people out there, or there's people as well. Two different people. People who, after they win a championship, try to go for the repeat. And then there's people that will settle and be like, I won a championship. Now it's time to end on a high note. We'll find out who Aaron Rodgers is. If, let's just say, the Green Bay Packers go on and win a championship, then you're talking about, if they go on and win a championship, then maybe Rodgers says, you know what? We're calling it. I'm done. I'm going to host Jeopardy. That's a golden that's a big chance as well. There's also a chance that, let's say they have a terrible year, and Rodgers is he might want to go out and sign with another team and show people that, hey, I still got it in the tank. I got to just go somewhere else. I got to get a fresh start. Now, I still do believe, because I think a lot of people think that just because Aaron Rodgers is returning, everything's all good in Green Bay. I still do believe that Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay, there's still a disconnect, which is why I believe they're giving him a certain contract so then after this season he can just get out of there. Because I do believe that he's going to play this season, be done with his deal, opt out of it, get out of the Packers uniform, go sign with another team and start fresh there, or he retires, hosts Jeopardy, and calls it a career. That's also a chance. But just because he's returning to the Green Bay Packers, I don't think means everything between him, the GM, the front office is all good. I still think there's major friction. I still think there's a lot of disagreements. I still think there's issues. I still think that Aaron Rodgers is not happy with the way things are run in Green Bay. But ultimately, like a lot of times what happens, the front office is going to win this battle, and Aaron Rodgers is going to have to go out there and play, and he's going to have to go out there and perform, and we'll see what he does. Along with his teammate, Davante Adams, who I also would tend to say, this is it. We all know the documentary with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman, that big team, the 90s Bulls. We remember the documentary, right? That was a great documentary. It's been a year now since it was out. It was obviously The Last Dance, their big season, the film crew, all that stuff. Right? We all remember that. So, this is the last dance for the Green Bay Packers. This is it. These are the final 17 games that Aaron Rodgers will play, plus if they make the playoffs in a Green Bay Packers uniform. I truly believe that. Because I think after this season, no matter what, I think, number one, I think the Packers will probably want to move on. I think Aaron Rodgers is definitely going to want to move on. I think by then it's the third year, and Jordan Love, if Aaron Rodgers plays all 17 games this season, in the third year, Jordan Love's not even going to play a snap. They're going to want to see what Jordan Love's got. And I think Davante Adams, like I said, is also going to be gone. Because he's going to follow what Rodgers does. Not if Rodgers retired, Davante Adams not going to retire. But if Rodgers goes elsewhere, you could very well see Davante Adams go team up with him. I just find it interesting that now all of a sudden he's coming back. Now, it is going to be interesting to see how the season goes. Because if Aaron Rodgers still has an issue with how things are run, is he going to complain about that throughout the season? Is he going to have issues with the front office throughout the season? How is it going to be? How is it going to be throughout the year? Is there going to be friction? Is there going to be a lot of noise? Is it going to be, or does Aaron Rodgers kind of just block that all out, go out, play this season, at the end of the season, reevaluate the situation, and decide whether or not he wants to return to Green Bay, whether or not he wants to go to another team, whether or not he wants to call it a career? He's still, based off of what he did last season, it looks like he's still got a lot of gas left in the tank. I think at this point, it's just a matter of where is that going to take place. We know this season it looks like he's going to be in Green Bay, but next year's and the years after that, is he going to retire? Is he going to go join another team? This is setting up for an extremely exciting season. Because not only do I think that Rodgers probably wants to end it on a high note, his entire career has been with Green Bay. He's been a storyline since he entered the league. Him and Brett Favre, their beef that went on for a couple years there. And then Aaron Rodgers got the starting job. Obviously, most recently, you had Mike McCarthy getting fired. And then you have Matt LaFleur coming in and Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff. And Matt LaFleur, them going to draft a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers has always been the center of attention. I think this year it's big. I think this is one of these years for Rodgers. Like, go out, prove that he's still got gas left in the tank, and reevaluate the situation in the offseason. Because right now, he's just playing, I think, because the Packers did not get rid of him. He's playing because the Packers have stand still on their point that they're not going to get rid of him. He's going out there. He's going to play. He's going to restructure his contract, and this is going to be it for him in Green Bay. This is it. This is going to be his final season. He's going to leave after this year. This is the last dance for the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. After this year, I can almost guarantee you that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be, suiting up in a Green Bay Packer uniform. I can almost guarantee you. The way they're gonna do this contract, the way they're going to, plan out this contract, the way they're going to, do all different things with this contract. Aaron Rodgers, this is going to be it in Green Bay. And I think the same thing, too, for Davante Adams. Because Davante Adams, frankly, is probably going to do what Rodgers does. After this year, he's probably going to get out of there. And maybe he joins another team. Maybe he joins Derek Carr. There were some rumors that they want to reunite. Maybe he joins with them. Rodgers goes to the Broncos, maybe. They restart. That's next season, though. But Rodgers, I think, is only simply doing this to, number one, I think, show that, you know what, I'm going to go out, I'm going to play. And number two, I think it's also kind of like, let me show I still got gas left in the tank, and next season, go join another team. Or retire. Either or. But I feel like this season, like Rodgers is playing on his own. He's going to go out, he's going to do his own thing, and that's going to be it. And I got to admit, not that Rodgers has done anything to my team, meaning like the Jets, like not like I'm a Bears fan and Packers and the Bears are rivals, but this whole Rodgers thing and all this stuff that's been going on for so long, it's finally gotten to the point, like I'm just happy that he's just made a decision. Like finally, we don't have to hear about this throughout the entire training camp, throughout the season. Like finally, Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing for the Green Bay Packers. Like, finally. Good for him. He's going to play for the Green Bay Packers. Like, at this point in the season, it's just like, this has been going on really since the season ever ended. Since his post-game comments after that Buccaneers game where he said he doesn't know about any of their jobs in that team if anyone's secure. Ever since those comments, which happened all the way back in January, it is now July, we have finally gotten an answer. Aaron Rodgers is going to play for the Green Bay Packers. It's been months and months and months and months of rumors, predictions, and all that stuff. And we finally have an answer. So I'm not even glad. Whatever he did, I would have been glad with. Whether he decided to retire, whether he decided to hold out, whatever it was. I'm just glad these rumors are done. And I'm just glad he's going to play. Just go throughout the season. Next season, we can reevaluate it. Next offseason, we could see what he decides to do. But I believe him and Davante Adams, this is the last dance for them in Green Bay. This is it, and we'll see what they do in the regular season. We'll see what they do this season, rather. So Aaron Rodgers rumors Packers quarterback close to an agreement would set up final season in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers are reportedly close to an agreement that could see the veteran quarterback play his final season with the franchise. Adam Schefter of ESPN reported the Packers are offering concession to ensure Rodgers' return for the 2021 season, but added it would help set up the quarterback's departure from Green Bay after this season. Earlier Monday, in Rappaport of NFL Network reported Rodgers had indicated to people close to him that he planned to return to the Packers and play this season. These reports came after Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst, or however you pronounce his name, expressed optimism about a reunion. We've been working tirelessly with Aaron and his representatives to resolve the issue Rodgers has raised, and we are hopeful for a positive resolution. Packers GM said Monday per Rob Dombrowski of ESPN. Once the possibility of Rodgers' return was reported, the Packers moved up among the favorites to win the Super Bowl, presuming Rodgers will be under center. Now, here's the issue. Every year now they've lost in the NFC Championship game. So I don't know if you can say that they're going to be the favorites yet, because they haven't really gotten there recently. But either way. Schefter reported in April that Rodgers did not want to return to the team. He skipped Green Bay's organized team activities and mandatory minicamp earlier this offseason. Rodgers also turned down a 2-year contract extension that would have made him the highest paid player in the NFL, according to Schefter. It's kind of about the philosophy and maybe forgetting that it's about the people that make the thing go. Rodgers said of the issues with the team on SportsCenter in May. It's about character, it's about culture, it's about doing things the right way. The 37-year-old is under contract through the 2023 season, but the Packers have more financial flexibility after this year. According to SpotTrack, the team can save $22.6 million against the cap if he is traded or released next offseason. Which is why I think they're going to reevaluate this deal, and this could be it for him in Green Bay. Green Bay selected Rodgers' apparent replacement in Jordan Love after trading into the first round in 2020, but the team has remained firm that it doesn't plan on trading the reigning MVP. We want him back. We're committed to him for 2021 and beyond. Team president Mark Murphy said, "He's our leader, and we're looking forward to winning another Super Bowl." Last year's NFL MVP award was the third of Rodgers' career, and the 17th-year veteran led the Packers to the NFC Championship game for the second straight season. If Rodgers does return under center, Green Bay should enter 2021 as one of the top contenders for a championship. We'll see. We'll see what he performs like. We'll see how this thing goes. We'll see if there's any drama. We'll see how everything else plays out. It's going to be a very interesting season in Green Bay. We'll have to see how everything else plays out. All right, so let's get to the New York sports update here and finish off the podcast. Yesterday, the Mariners won, Angels won, Cubs won, Twins won, Royals won, Phillies won, Red Sox won, Mets won, and Braves won. So, Mets won, Braves won the first game 2-0, and the Mets won the second game 1-0. So, the Mets moved to 53-45 on the season. As for today, we got the Brewers, Pirates. I'll give Brewers the win. Marlins, Orioles, give Marlins the win. Phillies, Nationals, give Phillies the win. Blue Jays, Red Sox, give Blue Jays the win. Get to the Mets in the second. Cardinals, Indians, give Cardinals the win. Rangers, Diamondbacks, give Rangers the win. Cubs, Reds, give Reds the win. Twins, Tigers, give Twins the win. White Sox, Royals, give White Sox the win. Angels, Rockies, give Angels the win. Dodgers, Giants, I'll give Dodgers the win. Astros, Cheaters, Mariners, give Cheaters the win. And Padres, A's, give Padres the win. Mets play today. Mets come in this game 53-45. Braves come in this game 49-51. This game goes on today, 7:10 p.m. Standard Time on WPIX. Picks. Let's see. No updates on the prediction of this game because Braves got Charlie Moore on the mound. He's 9-3 with a 3.65 ERA. The Mets have not announced the starter yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and say the Braves will win. It's tough to predict a winner when they have not announced their starter yet. Alrighty, as for today, we got the Yankees and the Rays. Yankees come in this game 51-47. Rays come in this game 60-40. Yankees got Jordan Montgomery on the mound. He's 3-5 with a 3.96 ERA. And the Rays got McCallan on the mound. McCallan, however you pronounce his name. He's 4-3 with a 3.8 ERA. 8.8 ERA. The over-under for this game is 7.5. This game comes on today, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time, MLB Network. 57% of people think the Rays will win. I think the Rays will win. I hope I'm wrong, but until the Yankees can prove that they can hold on to a game, give me the Rays there. Alrighty, as for fantasy baseball, I'm currently winning 38-37. So a close game there. Today I've got going Will Smith, Matt Olson, Gene Segura, Austin Riley, Marcus Semien, J.P. Crawford, Josh Harrison, Christian Yelich, Whit Merrifield, Austin Meadows, Dylan Carlson, Avisail Garcia, and Carlos Correa. And I got James Caprillion on the mound. Now, some updates on the injury front. A lot of updates on the injury front. Alrighty, so let's get to the Alex Bregman update here first. And then Other than that, there is no new updates on Yadier Molina. I did make a roster move here. So let's get to the Bregman update first. Bregman quadriceps started at third base and went 0 for 2 with a walk for AAA Sugarland on Monday. So that's that update. Now I made a move. So I activated Manuel Margot off the 10-day off my IL, and I put Luke Voigt on the IL. So that's the roster move I made. And this is the update of my Manuel Margot. Margot hamstring is expected to be activated from the 10-day injury list ahead of Tuesday's game against the Yankees. Mark Topkin of the Tampa Bay Times reports. So he's going to be activated today. So I took him off my IL and put Voigt on there. So good that he's back. And Voigt's now on the IL. He has not been on my IL at all, so not that it's a good thing, but finally he's not going to be taking up a roster spot like that. So he's now put on the IL, and Manuel Margot is back. So that's good for my fantasy team. But yeah, with all that being said, that'll do it for the podcast here today. Another good podcast in the books. Jets-Giants training camp start up today. Super exciting. Yankees-Mets on tonight. And, yeah, with all that being said, that will do it for the podcast here today. As always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.